off the mic. Welcome back, John DeHaven.
Hey, guys.
Couple weeks away, had a baby, had a little medical situation you had to deal with the baby. Yeah. Now we're back, hot off the mic, Monday morning quarterback. Let's hit it.
All right.
We have, if we're not careful, we have become so sleepy inside of the church world.
All right.
We have no discernment as to what's happening around us. We have no accountability to the people in our lives. We don't care how spiritual leaders live as long as they communicate well. Oof. We've allowed sin to slide into every area of our lives, and we don't even care. Where are the watchmen on the wall? Where are the men and women of God who will lead their families righteously? Dads, it's your day. Dad.
Uh-oh.
We'll save that for later.
I'm about to fuss at some daddies on here.
You did fuss a little bit.
Yeah. It was one of them days, where it's like, hey, Jesus is coming back, and y'all need to wake up. And where are the people that are alert and awake and, actually focusing on this thing? Because it seems like everybody's falling asleep at the wheel.
Yeah, and I'll say this, too, because it's been a few weeks since we've had hot off the mic.
And that's your first word back is, okay.
Well, I'm not used to it. We switched roles. You opened.
I just wanted to welcome everybody. Welcome you back.
You jumped the gun. You started welcoming people, and I just lost for words. Not usual that I'm lost for words, but I was lost for words.
First week back.
You got me. Yeah, so first week back. We haven't got to say that. We started a new series.
You've got mail.
You've got mail.
Yeah, a little AOL throwback. The letters of Paul. This is something that's been on my, we'll talk planning really quickly, something that's been on my whiteboard of potential series for probably, I'm going to say a year now. You sent me a text one day and you were like, hey, what about something like this? And it's just kind of been stirring in me. And because typically you don't send great ideas, but this was one of those, it was like, man, this is a good one. And so when you sent it, I said, okay. And, so.
Well, it had been so long, guys, I didn't even know what he was talking about.
Yeah, I put on your task, I was like, hey, let's talk through the You've Got Mail series. And you were like, I don't even know what this is.
This should tell you how many ideas I run through. Because I don't remember my ideas because there's so many of them. It's not like I literally come up with stuff all the time.
So we do the full, we're doing a letter of Paul each week. We did the
we've done Romans.
We've done Romans. This coming up week we're doing 1 Corinthians. And so we do the AOL You've Got Mail, the goodbye at the end. Yeah. We sent out letters, kind of made it very Pauline epistle type. Writing, verbiage, and so just kind of been a cool theme.
Yeah, and so with that being said, bringing it back to where we're at this Sunday, we did 1 Thessalonians.
Yeah,
and so you had to find a way to talk about the theme of Thessalonians or something impactful inside of Thessalonians, but then somehow still tie it to Father's Day.
Wasn't my plan at all. I was just going to ignore fathers because that's what they want.
Yeah.
That was the study that I saw.
They said that, but it's just
want to be ignored.
We don't do that.
I was just going to ignore them, and then you got to that point of wake up, and you're like, Dads, you really need to wake up.
Yeah.
Dad's like, what are you doing? So, yeah.
Yeah, so you get to this point where you're talking about, to me, this was your power, the PowerPoint that you had for the day was, hey, if you're not careful, you're going to fall asleep. And I think it was tied around, and we'll talk about it more, this three points that you had throughout the sermon. But I thought it was very interesting, the dynamic of, okay, the second coming, but also the suddenness, which we'll get to.
Yeah, take comfort, a suddenness, and then don't get caught off guard.
Yeah.
Stay awake.
For
Thief
sure.
in the night. That's how he's going to come. You better be ready.
So we have a lot going on. We got a series. We're trying to stay in theme. We
have an opening video. We have Father's Day video. We have, all sorts of stuff inside of the
which
service.
We'll see some of it here. But let's talk about.
Isn't it great to have second edition from Lee University with us this morning?
All right.
Thankful for them.
Second edition.
Yeah. So Lee Singers is the big choir.
Uh-huh.
This is like a little specialty group outside of Lee Singers.
Uh-huh.
They were phenomenal. Led us in worship. It was great. Did a phenomenal job. Got a call out of the blue from their director, the dean of music there at Lee, and said, "Hey, would you consider having us? We're going to be in Florida, coming up through, going to youth camp. They're doing our youth camp this week, coming through. Would you consider letting us, lead worship on Sunday morning?" I was like, "It's Father's Day. It's going to be a rough day." And he was like, "Man, we'd love to if you could."
Yeah. But it was so cool having him there. I've been here almost 7 years now. I think this might have been the first time that we've had something like this happen. Pastor Simeon got a break.
Yeah.
His worship team, I saw them a lot on the front row.
Yeah, it was cool.
Worshiping. It was really cool to make that happen.
It was cool. Something we encouraged them. Hey, you get an off Sunday.
Yeah.
Come and sit, close, lead in worship. He said he sent out a message to his team the night before and was like, "Hey, we get an opportunity to lead worship just from our seats this week." So
yeah. All right. So then we're in announcements at that point.
Yeah.
I thought this was a really cool video. I'll play a little bit of it around Father's Day. She was great. I don't know who this.
Well, I use my heart and soul.
Everybody's like, "Oh."
I can tell. Thank you.
To all those dads out there, we hope
So,
today you feel
it's
like
Father's
the legends
Day.
we already know you are.
I thought this was interesting too. If you pause it right there, you didn't move from the stage. You and Maddie kind of stayed in the middle.
We did a celebration of second edition.
Mm-hmm.
Happy Father's Day. You can be seated, so that the second edition college kids weren't having to work through logistics. So you could be seated. And we just stood there on stage during the video.
Yeah.
Videos, I never even see them until Sunday morning during run through. So it's not like they run the videos by me. It's like, hey, we're picking a Father's Day video and we're throwing it in, or a Memorial Day video and we're throwing it in, or whatever. And so yeah, whenever I saw it, it was like, man, this was cute. It was neat.
Yeah, and so those are some of those ways we're trying to, even though we said we're leaving fathers alone, we're still trying
our best.
Trying our best. We gave them a video.
Yeah.
Gave them some energy
drinks and a photo booth with some
Maddie was
taxidermy.
wanted to make sure they
heads.
knew we had the gator head that smelled bad.
Yeah.
So we tried, some ways to honor and make it a special day for them. Now, let's talk about your
Revival
schedule.
night, this past week, I've had a lot of people that were like, "Hey, Wednesday night wasn't online." No, and they won't be, okay?
No.
So you got to come get these live and in living color, okay? So if you missed Wednesday night,
So
it was amazing.
you're talking about Revival nights
Thursday
here.
at Socastee was awesome. If you missed that one, this Tuesday, we're going to be at our Ainer campus having Revival night there on Tuesday. So if you're interested in being a part of one of these, if you're watching online and interested.
So hearing you talk about this stuff and being back behind the scenes, you making sure that we're having these revival nights, I feel like this is one of your busier seasons that I've seen you in.
Yeah. And it's definitely not. It's just one of those things. Things come in waves. So this week, I preached, let's start back with last Sunday. I preached last Sunday 2 services. You go into Wednesday night, Thursday night. Then I preach Sunday morning 2 services. Then this week I'm preaching Tuesday at Ainer. Then I'm doing Wednesday and Thursday night in Michigan.
Yep.
And then I'm coming back Sunday preaching 2 services.
Yeah.
And then next week we're going to Iowa and Illinois.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is.
You're in a stretch where you're pretty busy.
It is a bunch right now.
Yeah. And so I think it's just interesting to see right now how your sermon prep, what you're thinking about. You're also placing the emphasis on all of our campuses. Not
Trying my best.
There's something stirring inside of us there for campuses, not just Myrtle Beach thing. We're making sure that we're staying focused on everyone.
Yep.
And so I think it's super cool, but I think there's also a demand on, I'll say the gift. I don't know if that's the best way to put it. The gift that's inside of you to preach, but also one of it, you're coming as the visionary, the shepherd, that role of all of our campuses, but then you're having to take the hat off in some of your sermons and say, okay, I'm now going to go be an evangelist for camp meetings. So how do you
and then I'm sitting here on Sunday preaching doctrine and trying to be a teacher to the congregation and a pastor and shepherd. Yeah, it's tricky.
All the hats that you have to wear.
It's tricky. I know whenever I'm going into certain settings, I try my best. I'm going to Michigan, talk to Brother Kemp on the phone. What is it that you need from me here? How can I be valuable to you? So you go in, hopefully whoever you're preaching for, they will give you some wisdom or some insight. And so Brother Kemp was like, I want people to hear your story. And so I got 2 nights there. So the first night, I'm really kind of starting, like carving out a little bit of my story into, maybe some seasons that I was in and how it related to where I'm at now, and hopefully some encouragement to them. The second night, I'm really diving deep into my story. Some hard seasons. I think it's really easy to talk about the struggles in my life, that we've been through ministry-wise. And I think hopefully pastors who hear those stories will be encouraged that, if that guy can make it, anybody can.
Yeah.
And so you listen to the heart of the overseer there, and then here trying to follow the voice of God. You walk into a revival night and hey, this is more of a apostolic, prophetic, type moment. You're walking into a camp meeting knowing that you're more of a, an evangelist in that moment, maybe pastor, shepherd a little bit. And then you come in here on a Sunday morning, that, hey, this through this series, you're probably more of a teacher, pastor type, setting.
Yeah. Maybe would love for you to speak to this. When you get a call from someone like an overseer who says, hey, I want you to come preach, maybe for a guy out there who's listening, he's got a pastor who calls him and says, hey, I want you to come preach. The thing that's inside of them that says, man, I just want to preach the sermon that I have versus versus the overseer or the person who invited you giving you the directive and not feeling this sense of being tied down to a...
Yeah, I would say complete opposite. And this is what we do for all of our campuses as well. I think the freedom is in the surrender.
Okay.
The freedom of, I'm surrendering to what you want. This is your camp meeting.
Nice.
This is your house. This is your whatever it is.
Yeah.
I'm surrendering to what you want from me. You're asking me in, what do you want me to speak?
Yeah.
Why did the Lord lay me on your heart to come in and speak? What is it that you want from me? Yeah. And a lot of times they'll say, hey, I trust you, just be you. Mm-hmm. But there is a huge portion of time where they'll say, hey, all right, this is the theme of the camp meeting, or this is the theme of the revival that we're in right now, where we're talking about, hope for the harvest or whatever. And I'd really love you to speak to, the harvest that's to come. I've got an opportunity, a couple weeks where I'll be down in Florida speaking. And it's this is your time frame. Mm-hmm. This is exactly what we want you to speak to. Yeah. And so you go in that moment knowing this is my assignment. Yeah. This is what I'm called to speak on. And it's freeing because I know I'm walking in honoring the house. Yeah. And if somebody says, well, why didn't you speak on this? Oh, well, I'm freed from that conversation. Yeah. Because I'm just surrendering to the authority of the house.
That's so good. I hope somebody hears that. It's like free. It's freeing when you're assigned. That person was led by the Spirit to invite you to be a part of this conversation, to have this theme, this text, whatever it is they tell you to do. It's because they were led in the moment.
And if you say, well, the Lord is leading me another way, then I would just encourage you. You need to call and have a conversation with the person that invited you.
Yeah.
If they ask you to preach hope for the harvest and you're like, no, I need to preach second coming of Jesus, then I think you need to have that conversation with the person that invited you.
Because if not,
I would be very frustrated if I asked you to preach on finances and you walked in and preached on marriage.
Yeah.
I'd be very frustrated with you.
Because you're not honoring the...
You're not honoring. I've built everything around this moment to walk in and have you preach to marriage. Why in the world would you preach on finances or whatever it may be? Why in the world? I've led into this moment. The crowd is waiting for you to speak about this said thing. If you go off subject, and for somebody who hears marriage and finances and thinks, well, yeah, that's stupid, except for it's the same exact way inside of, whatever ministry you're walking into. That pastor has built hope of this marriage conference that's to come, or this revivalist that's to come, and he's going to breathe life into this house. And then you walk in and your conversations, I don't know, something off the cuff, and you're not, honoring to the house. I would be very frustrated if I was whoever invited you.
Yeah. So honor the moment, lean into what you've been assigned to, because you wouldn't have probably got the assignment if they weren't led to tell you this direction anyways.
That's right.
Yeah, I love it. All right, so let's talk about something cool. This is the Bible nerd in me.
Okay.
Today
Acts 17, Acts 18.
1 Thessalonians. This is the first letter of Paul that we have. It is the very first piece of Christian writing of any kind that we have.
It's neat, isn't it?
It is
Yeah,
unusually significant. This is the earliest words from a Christian.
Man, my widow speaketh
In Acts
high.
17, you get the backstory of
You said
this
that wasn't
writing.
my
And
call.
Paul and his co-worker Silas went to this ancient Greek city of Thessalonica. After
you look it
just
up in
a
Acts
month
17
or
to
so
see it?
there, telling people the good news, a
17,
large
18,
number
like
of
you
both
talked about,
Jews
right on.
and Greek people gave their allegiance to Jesus and formed the first church community there. And trouble started brewing as Paul's
I become, I see Bishop Mark Williams, and we talk about how he is able to almost just close his eyes and just walk you through the Acts of the Apostles and Paul's letters, and it's like he just kind of, in this series, you're starting to get some of that, and I think what's cool is Acts 17, 18, all that intertwining with the letters.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we separate it, right? Like we're like, this is its own book. It's in its own context. It's in its own, and then you have you have the book of Acts, who's like, if you just put it in there, it'll open your eyes up to some things that are happening. And it's just, I think, life-giving to, so many times people say, I don't understand, what's happening. It's just, whatever. But if you just took a little bit of time and
Yeah, Paul and Silas in Acts are in Thessalonica. And you get the writing of First Thessalonians based on what happened there in Acts 17. So you're wandering away from that portion of Scripture going, oh, he's speaking back into this thing, which is super cool. It's the Bible. The Bible's amazing.
Yeah, and I appreciate you letting me do the Monday night stuff on our congregation page, because it is letting me this is one of those things I love to do, is kind of just meddle in the history of the of the church like that. And so getting to just spend some serious time saying, well, this happened then, and why did this happen then? I think then this brings in this whole piece of what you're talking about with First Thessalonians, which is why you spent a lot of time at the beginning to talk about it.
And I have it at every book so far. This is 3 weeks into the series, and I will through the rest of the summer. And all the campus pastors are doing the same. I just want to make sure you understand this book. This is where this book came from.
And to show the people listening how important you thought it was to do that, your sermon was, I think, a little bit shorter, 20 to 25 minutes this time around. And for you to then take a considerable amount of time from your sermon and say, hey, let me give you some real context to what is happening, I think that really shows us how important that moment was to understand it going into what we're talking about for the rest of the day.
Agree.
Yeah, so let's keep going here.
The doctrine of the second coming was meant to bring comfort, and I would say I've always been freaked out by this stuff, right? I remember I was the kid in youth group. I was raised a little different than y'all. I was a little kid in youth group, and I remember whenever they would play the Left Behind videos. Anybody remember the Left Behind videos?
I remember them.
Okay. I remember playing Left Behind videos. I was sitting on the front row. Lights were off. We're watching a movie, sitting on the front row, and all of a sudden, everybody just gradually, one by one, went to the bathroom. And then the movie ends, and it's just me sitting there. True story. I remember when I was in grade school, I got off the school bus.
This is hilarious.
I came home. My parents'
It's a true
cars
story.
were
My mom
there.
still tells this story.
This was before cell phones and things of that nature. My parents' cars were there.
Oh, low power
and
mode.
I went into the
I was
house.
about that.
Nobody was home. Went into the church. We lived next door to the church in a parsonage. Went into the church. Nobody was there in the church. And I remember thinking, oh my goodness, the rapture has happened, and I've been left behind.
That's happened to me before.
So much so, true story, asked my mama, so much so that we lived in Socasee at the time, I started walking to my grandfather's house in Aner because I knew he wasn't a believer, and if I could just get him, I knew he'd be left behind with me.
That's a true story, man.
True story.
Crazy. Talking of the second coming of Jesus Christ and all the things that go with it, it's anything but comforting if you're not careful.
Yeah, and like I said, I remember watching the movies, being in the Revelation Bible study. I think we've said his name 1,000 times on this podcast. Dan Duncan,
Old Dan Duncan.
teaching Revelation, always made me go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And miss the rest of it until it was over. Because I was just scared.
Yeah.
And I wasn't saved. I was running from the Lord. That's why
you're scared.
That's why I was scared.
I
I
don't
wasn't
know.
saved. He did his job. He's scared.
But it was meant to bring comfort. As you see
Yeah.
throughout, again, there's multiple scriptures here, but as you see through 1 Thessalonians, this should be comforting.
Mm-hmm.
This should be a moment where you are hearing what is happening and are comforted by the future of what God is going to do.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you're speaking to culture, like the culture of the church folk of it's scary, and you're speaking to the non-church folk of saying it's real.
Yeah.
And you're trying to bring this tension, this balance to the conversation, which is so interesting that you have to think about the church people and you got to think about the people who don't know anything about this.
It's wild speaking in today's culture,
Yeah.
because there's so many people that have different upbringings.
And it's peculiar because we're in a context where you're going to get that. Now, some people may just have a lot of people who are church folk,
sure.
and that's just their general context.
sure.
But you have the job of in Myrtle Beach to be like, man, I got a little bit of everything.
We do around here, a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. And so you have to think about that when you're preaching.
You do.
All right.
Verse 40.
The suddenness.
2 men will be in the field, one will be taken, the other left. 2 women will be grinding at the mill, one will be taken, the other left. Suddenly, there will be a suddenness to this.
I don't know what's going to happen.
This will be the most important
I thought
pop
when you
quiz
snapped,
that
we'd
you will
literally
ever
see it
take
come back.
inside of your
That'd be
life.
so
There
cool.
will be a
that'd be
suddenness
the best sermon
moment
illustration
where
ever.
you better make sure
Suddenly.
your life is
I
right
would go
because
viral
Jesus
then.
Christ is
Literally.
coming back. Ooh, maybe people don't preach on this like we used to.
I
Let's
think
talk about that.
Yeah, I think because we've gotten so far in the weeds. I said this early inside of the suddenness conversation, where sometimes we focus so hard on the event, be it the rapture or whatever, however people want to phrase it. Sometimes we focus so hard on the event that we miss out on Jesus Christ is coming back.
Yeah.
And there is going to be a suddenness to it.
Yeah.
I don't know what everything else is going to look like and when tribulation is and what blood moons are going to look like and what this is going to. I don't know about all that. I just know in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, Jesus Christ is coming back.
Yeah. And we got to preach it.
Got to.
So let's play the next clip.
And the third part of this doctrine, he says this doctrine's for comfort. This doctrine is so that you understand the suddenness of it. And this doctrine is so that you don't get caught off guard.
Stay awake.
This
All right.
doctrine is so that you wake up and make sure that you're paying attention to what's happening around you.
So
First-
if people aren't thinking about this, you're teaching.
I'm trying.
You're teaching. Like
I'm trying.
you're doing pretty good. Well, because usually inside of your sermon sets, you're not really going, 1, we talked about this. 2, we talked about this. And 3, we're talking about this.
Correct.
You're doing this, I call it like a cumulative teaching. I know there's some
Sure.
better homiletical way to describe what's happening, but you are reiterating your points, making sure a lot of times you're just cruising through a text or going from
Typically, I get to the end and there's the aha moment of, oh, everything makes sense.
yes, everything makes sense. It's logical. You're walking us through, and
Right.
it's like everything is building upon each other.
Yeah.
And this is a distinguished, like,
1.
yeah,
Okay, now 2.
making sure your guys are there with
Now
me.
1 and 2 say this. Now 3.
Yeah.
1, 2, and 3.
Yes. And so I think that's. Do you think that's part of the reason is because of the nature of what you're doing as a whole with the series? Do you think it's the book itself
Yeah, I think
that causes
I think it is
that?
the nature of what I'm doing with the series because I'm really trying to pick doctrine inside of each. So we did the
Okay.
doctrine of justification.
Okay.
We did the doctrine of supremacy of God.
Yep.
Or the supremacy of Christ. Then we did the doctrine of the
Second coming.
of Christ.
Yeah.
So this week I'm diving into the doctrine of the Lord's Supper in one moment.
Nice.
We're going to talk about
Substantiation.
substantiation.
Yeah.
Consubstant.
Okay.
We're going to dive into some of those conversations. For a small portion. This is just going to be a small portion during communion.
Yeah.
And then we're going to dive into something. But I'm trying to stick into the doctrine. What doctrine is Paul establishing here inside of each book.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'll be able to do that in each book, but that is the desire out of each book.
Yeah.
And so as you're teaching doctrine, it's a lot easier to go 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, and I was privy to some conversation as well, and it makes sense talking about doctrine is you're not the only one preaching this message, as we've talked about earlier with, our campus pastors, they're preaching this
Right.
as well. And so I remember you having conversation of, hey, we're keeping it inside of this. This is our lane. Because with the second coming specifically,
Correct.
you can do all types of things
Correct.
with it.
You could talk about the rapture of the church,
Yeah.
and you could have a whole sermon series based on the rapture of the church.
Yeah.
And people would agree and disagree. I heard John Bevere the other day. He's got a new book called Christ is Coming or something like that. And he's literally, I sent the video to Chris Kilgore because he and I, have some fun conversations about the rapture. But he's like, I believe this way and my wife believes this way. And we laugh because we believe completely different concepts when it comes to the scripture. And it's like, yeah, I mean, but I don't want to do that. I want to establish doctrine.
Yeah.
Here's doctrine.
Yeah.
Doctrine is, this should be for your comfort. There is a suddenness to this that will happen.
Yeah.
And then finally, make sure that you're awake. Make sure that you're ready for this moment.
And I think that's something that people who are mature in their faith can do is, hey, I can have a opinion, I can have a thought about what I think is going to happen or what I think about a specific subject and still be in good respects with my peers and people in my family, people who I love a lot. And I don't have to just be friends with people who see things the way I see
That's right.
them. And I think that's a cool, conversation to be able to say, you know what, like there's certain things that are like, this is what it's going to be. And we all get around that. But the stuff that,
We know Jesus was crucified. He was buried. He resurrected.
Yeah.
And we know that he's coming back again one day.
Yeah.
There's some intricate parts of that inside of our theology we debate.
Yeah.
We don't debate that he's coming back, though.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good. All right, so now let's talk about some differences between the 9 and the 11.
So consumed in the things of this life that we've just scrolled our way through our children's childhood. We've just scrolled our way right through it. They're playing in the floor, and you're just, Daddy, get in the floor and play with me. Huh? What'd you say? Daddy, I'm gonna wear this to school tomorrow. Is this cool? Huh? What'd you say? Daddy, I'm gonna go hang out with my friends. Is that cool? What'd you say? Daddy, Bob offered me a drink of something last night, and I turned it down. I just wanted to make sure that was the right decision. Is that okay? Huh? What'd you say? Hear me, daddies. Hear me. I hear all the time people say, at Mother's Day, we're so nice, and we tell them how delicate of flowers.
All right, let's pause there. This will be the next part. So the scroll, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't remember the scroll being a part of the 9.
It was not.
Was this one of those spirit-led, or was it on the notes and like you'd missed it? Or
No, it was probably more of a note that I, in the moment, talked about it a different way, and then as I'm talking about it, I'm like, oh man, this is their whole life if we're not careful.
Yeah.
John DeHaven laying in the floor with you, or laying in the floor wanting to play with you. Dad pitched the ball to me.
Yeah.
I'd give anything to go back and pitch the ball to Caleb
Yeah.
at that age. I'd give anything to come over and like pitch the ball to him now. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
But if we're not careful, he's just a child. And then they start wearing things to school. Dads have texted me and said, how did you fight your daughters whenever they started wearing things? We just ignore it. And then all of a sudden they're going to parties and you don't even realize it because you're just sitting there scrolling.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're having questions about righteous, conversations that you don't even want to have with them because you're scrolling and they're trying.
Yeah.
We blame it on them all we want to. They're trying, and we're just so busy. And it doesn't have to be our phone. It could be so many other things.
Yeah, but I think that was such a real example. Like, that's a caution for me because I know a big thing is, hey, let's get on the couch, get everybody settled for the night, and we're just going to media out and just relax and wait till we get to sleep. And I think what the great thing about having a child is is you're forced to engage. I mean, you can't ignore them, but the heart of I think the heart of a father says, I want to give you attention. And it opens my eyes up to even how my relationship is with a father.
Yeah, and the flip side is we watched Toy Story 5 last night.
Yeah.
Y'all went and watched it. Did you watch it with him?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
that's what your kid is going to turn into if you just give them an iPad or a lily pad or whatever it was in Toy Story 5.
I think it was
lily pad.
Yeah.
If you give them a lily pad and you say, here, just stay busy, they're going to turn into this.
Yeah.
So instead of raising them to chase after Jesus and teaching them how to pray and how to read their Bibles, we're teaching them how to, walk through technology.
Yeah.
Like, yikes.
For sure. And so for me, I know you said there's so many other examples, but I think for probably the parent my age or around my age, I think that's like, be careful, like, with the time that you have now, because my son wants to go hit a baseball outside. He wants to
go hit it with him.
Go hit the ball with him. Go jump in the splash pad with him.
We last night went and watched for Father's Day. We went and watched Toy Story 5, and then we've got a picture of like 7 years ago of us watching Toy Story 4 together. And I recreated the same picture with the Toy Story 5 background. And I told my girls whenever I got in the car, because Caleb and Reagan are driven in separate cars, and I told them, I said, I am so glad that we still do things like this together.
Yeah.
Because what happens when they're teenagers, you're talking to the young kids, what happens when they're teenagers is we scroll because we don't want to deal with their attitudes and with their issues. And then they're gone. And then you've wasted years of their life scrolling rather than connecting, and you don't have any relationship with them.
Yeah. Man, that's heavy.
Heavy.
But
I think this thing is destroying so many people's lives.
Yeah. I agree.
It makes you so productive. But, man, it's destroying so many people's lives.
It'd be such a great tool, but
Can be.
The payoff, it's like, is it even worth it?
There's a reason why, very productive people have like baskets at their house that whenever they get home, they throw their phone in.
Yeah. That's what I need. I need a basket.
Need a basket.
All right, Christy, we getting a basket. Custom one. I'll let you put your monogram on it. We're going to do it.
And then to the daddies, I fuss at them here. Daddies, listen to me.
They are and how beautiful they are and how much we love them. We love you, mamas.
Talking about the
Mamas,
And
we
at
love
Father's Day, we just beat down dads and tell them how sorry good for nothing they are. Dads, stop being sorry good for nothing. Dads, you don't need to be told how delicate flowers you are. You are men. You don't need to be you don't need to be propped up. You don't need to be we don't need to play patty cake with you. What we need to do is look at some men and say, join the army of Jesus Christ and stop cowering to every cultural norm that says, hey, focus on your life, focus on the things that you enjoy, focus on the things that make you feel good while your family is falling asleep. And if you're not careful, you're going to look around one day and say, how did I get to this place? Daddies, we need you. My daddy used to work third shift. And my brother and I, we would.
So let's pause it. This is part of a clip, but so true. And we'll use
men.
We'll use this as a case. I'll be a case study.
Sure.
Fatherhood has made me grow up.
Oh, absolutely. I was gonna say hopefully, but yeah, absolutely.
And I'm still growing up. I know what everybody else. You still need to grow up. Yeah, I do. I for sure.
Maddie and Christy heard that and they were like, "Grow up, boy."
Yeah, but I look back at my life. I got married when I was 20, so I'm working on year 11 right now.
I got married 21, 22.
And the person I was at 20, then the person who I was
22.
Right before we started having kids, I could see a difference. And then when I had John DeHaven, who I was flipped. There was a demand.
No doubt.
There was a demand on my life to mature, to grow, to lead.
No doubt.
And I think the question is, do you want to rise to the occasion, or do you want to say, no, that's not for me. I'm going to just do my own thing.
Yeah. In every area of life, you're going to experience this. So, Caleb gets married, there's a demand on his life to grow up.
Yeah.
They buy their new home, there's a demand on their life to grow up. when they have children one day, there's a demand on their life to grow up. And so every season, you're going to have new demands on your life to grow up. You know, certain jobs that you're working, certain, you know, situations that you're put in where, you know, Christy's sick and in the bed, there's a demand on your life to grow up. And so in every season, there's a new and unique demand upon your life. But I would say most men want to be looked in the eyes and told, get up.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
They don't want to be patted on the back and say, hey, you delicate butterfly.
Yeah. But I will say the trade-off is that when that happens, then like on Father's Day, then I can look forward to my wife saying, thank you for being the man who you are.
That's right.
Instead
she
of
posted a nice picture of you.
It made me feel so good.
Oh, I saw the smile through the phone.
Man, made me feel so good.
I said, when Johnny saw that boy, whew.
Man. Because, you know, there's a sacrifice. And I'm still selfish.
Yeah.
I still make so many stupid decisions.
Yeah.
But I feel like, man, I'm glad I decided I was going to step up.
Yep.
I was going to change. It was going to be different. And I think that's your heart there. Yeah, you're saying, hey, like, wake up, like, be better. Like, I'm not going to patty cake you. But I think I can speak personally as you've done that to me.
Absolutely.
And I know your heart was for me to be better, to do better because you love me.
Yeah, I'm not trying to kick you and say you're a sorry piece of trash.
I feel like that. And I think there's kind of a need for that to be like, hey, something does need to change.
I'm trying to, instead of kick you while you're down, I'm trying to kick you in the tail to get you to go.
Yeah, I'm trying to kick me up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to kick you up.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So now, I thought this was funny. In the age of technology, I thought this was a funny moment in the
But on
sermon.
Saturdays, he would just come in and go to sleep, and then whenever me and my brother got up, we did whatever we wanted to till he woke up. Mama
That's so
was
true.
working, and so me and my brother, we'd get up at 6 a.m. every
That's
Saturday,
dedicated.
and we would get in so much trouble. I'm not even, stuff I don't even want to say because this was
that
live
face?
stream, and Mama's going to text me later today after she watches this and say, y'all did what?
Which he proceeded to talk about some of the things, but I thought it was hilarious how that's where we've come to in technology.
I know Mama watches this every
Yes,
Sunday, and I'm like,
yes.
oh no, Mama's going to watch this.
Like, how real can I get? Because I know Mom is going to recall this and be like, all right, let's talk about this. Let's have a conversation about this. But I think let's talk about that, as a pastor, as a preacher, knowing that your sermon,
Man, it's tricky
2026.
sometimes. It's tricky sometimes, especially like the 11 a.m. service or whatever, where you know this is going live to the world. There are moments honestly, when I heard myself just then, and I knew I said it about the second coming freaks me out, and I was like, I wonder if people, I wasn't allowed to say that word growing up, freak.
yeah.
So you're like, I wonder if people perceive that as a bad word. You know what I mean? So even stuff like that now freak is just like almost like an emotion, like you freak out. When I was growing up, it was not considered that. And so as you're talking, as you're having conversations about things, there's definitely a filter that you're working through of, is this okay being put out there live for the world to see?
Yeah. So interesting, because in 2036, your grandson
Is going to pull this up.
and be like, man, I heard you preach this message and you said this, and you got to be like, yeah, that's me for sure.
That's right.
I meant that. Or, hey, we got to talk about that. So, all right, let's talk about this clip. You had some.
Where are the people who are awake
Maybe some
and
church
who are
verbiage here.
keeping their eyes on the things of the Spirit?
Keeping their eyes on the things.
Where are
of
the
Spirit.
moms and the grandmas and the grandpas and the aunts and the uncles and the friends? Where are the people that'll be the watchmen on the wall that will say, this is where.
Yeah, I think if we're not careful, we turn our eyes on the things of the Spirit. In my head, what I was trying to say there was the spiritual, not only spiritual disciplines, the spirit realm. The armor of God in people's lives, the spiritual accountability, the prayer, the interceding, the spiritual, the things of the Spirit,
Like discernment.
not the things of the flesh.
Yeah.
The things of the things of the Spirit. And so as I was when I said it in my head, I'm thinking all of the spiritual stuff, the things
Yeah.
of the spirit.
Yeah.
You know, the two battles, the battle inside of you, flesh and spirit.
Yeah.
Where's the people that keeps their eyes on the things of the spirit?
Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's keep rolling.
This is the will of God for your life, your sanctification.
This one-
Wow,
This is one of
such a
my
wild
favorite.
scripture.
Yeah.
Doesn't the Lord want me happy? Not at the price of your sanctification.
Yeah.
Doesn't the Lord doesn't he want to bless me and make me whole, make me happy? Not at the price of holiness in your life.
Yeah.
The will of God for your life is for you to be sanctified. He said, I've not called you to uncleanliness. I've called you to holiness.
Happy or holy?
Happy or holy? I think I said it in the 9. People leave the church every single time I say this. People leave the church because they cannot imagine that the Lord would put them in a situation to where he is purifying them with fire to make them holy, but yet they're unhappy. They cannot fathom a God like that.
Yeah, and I don't know where, I would love to know
Where that
thought
version of God came from.
Yeah, and I know I had great parents. I know I had great people pour into my life. I know the Lord deposited something in our lives to see it that way. But it's just I get there's a pursuit of pursuing holiness, like a life like looking like Jesus, being like Jesus, pleasing Jesus over whatever version of life that I would like to have. That would be we have this conversation about my son. And I think about my mindset right now is, God, I would rather you be honored and you be pleased in this stage of life that I find myself in, rather than me being happy. I would rather that you would be pleased with how I am living my life and how I've the standard that I've chosen to live my life by. And that doesn't mean that every season of life I've been perfect. There's so many times I've dropped the ball.
Absolutely.
There's so many times we've dropped the ball.
1000%.
But the response, the posture is, God, I want to be better. I don't like this version of myself. Right. I will cut whatever has to be cut out.
Cut it out of my life. I don't want it there. I want to serve you. I want to honor you. I want to be holy. I want to be righteous. I want to be sanctified, set apart for you.
Yeah. And so I appreciate, because I think sometimes we talk about this, people maybe look at our church, maybe think of the sermons and type of, services that we have, and they think, man, they say, you hear it all the time. Your church is that big because that's my version.
Your
of
church people voice.
Yeah.
Voice.
Your church is so big because you just preach that easy message, and
You know what I'd say to them?
You serve coffee.
Okay.
Okay. No, but I appreciate that you are having these conversations. You're preaching these things.
And have been. This is nothing new.
Yeah.
This is who we are.
Yeah, it's who we are. And
You
sometimes
knew
things like
somebody
this
was
happen.
breaking into your house? If you knew somebody was coming
Let's talk about the
to
random
I was
Shaw.
struggling, man. It was coming up.
And you could
coming to get your
did
kids?
Did you talk did you feel like you were going louder to see if you could get the rest of that out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying to get it out, and then it wouldn't go, and then I was like,
Yeah. So,
and then even after I coughed, it still wasn't gone, but it was enough relief to get the tickle out.
yeah, I
my
was about
throat.
to say, because you didn't cough anymore. So what? So I was just thinking, I was like, because I've done it where you keep going, but sometimes it don't work.
No.
It's that's a Hail Mary. When you cough and you keep going, it's either going to get a little bit better, you can keep going, or
way worse.
the whole service stops.
Correct.
The whole service stops.
We're about
You
to
gotta-
call out the musicians.
Yeah, we were
Let's
just
sing.
service. So guys, I'm done. I
Yeah.
can't. My larynx is crushed. Yeah. Anyway, so I thought that was funny. I was curious to see how you were feeling there. All right, let's talk about this moment.
I remember I feel like it was 2020, right? I remember in 2020 one night where we were,
You remember this thing?
riots were happening everywhere,
Yeah,
and there
talking about
was
night
the
moves.
threat of
Yeah.
violence here in Myrtle Beach. I don't know
Wild.
if y'all remember that, if you were around here then. And I remember us going to bed hearing reports of the potential of something bad happening, and then it spilling over into our communities and into our neighborhoods. And I remember going to bed that night, and I was trying to play the part. I was like, oh, we're good. Everybody's good. Everybody's
Trying to be
okay.
strong
We're
dad for
okay.
the
You guys
kids.
go to bed. There's nothing to worry about. All the while, I was nervous. I was worried. So you know what I did? I locked the door. I checked all of the Ring cameras all over the house to make sure that they were set up to where if anything walked by, a cat walked by, that it was going to alert us all.
That cat was going to get caught.
I made sure to call a cop friend of mine and say, hey, man, if you're in the neighborhood, just make sure you swing by my house. Make sure everything's good around here. I made sure that whenever I went to bed, got everybody to bed, all the alarms on, I made sure that I had some support near me whenever I slept.
You had that golf club?
Probably wasn't a golf club.
I was going to ask, but I didn't feel like it was appropriate for me to ask your weapon of choice.
In the 9 a.m. service, somebody was like, hey, man.
You ain't going to take my right to bear arms?
I was like, y'all ain't say, whoever you were, you ain't said amen all morning long. And now you trying to amen that one moment there about going to sleep with a gun next to me. Or
Allegedly.
support, not a gun.
Support.
Golf club, whatever
Golf
it was.
club, Easton baseball bat.
Yeah, whatever
You know,
it
one of
was.
those things. But let's talk about that because, like, your dad, your pastor, this idea of riots happening, you know, the mind games.
It was a wild season. What a wild time in the church world and in people's lives. But for me, the conversation was like a thief in the night. That's how he's coming. So if you know that's going to happen, the same way I prepared for a riot, wouldn't you prepare? Mm-hmm. Wouldn't you be prepared for the Lord's coming?
Yeah.
He's coming.
Yeah.
So get ready.
Yeah. It's good. All right. Now.
I didn't appoint you to wrath. He didn't invite them to church next week.
All right.
What'd I say?
Invite them to church next week. So that was when, in the middle of the 11 a.m. service,
Somebody's phone rang.
And it was at the greatest moment because that is when that was when you're getting your closing. Like, you're in this moment where it's like, guys, Jesus is coming back and you need to be ready. Like, I would hate for you
The phone
for you to
ring
be
is like,
left behind. And it's like,
Yeah.
some,
You're like, oh.
some Verizon ringtone.
Invite him to church next week,
Yeah, invite him. So, like, and you tried to press through there. Like, you were like, yeah, then you just addressed it or whatever. So, in moments like that, you just, again, address.
You should not address it. You should ignore it, okay?
the normal person.
The normal person, do not address it. Just ignore it.
Yeah.
I have 18 years of, I don't know the right word. Maybe influence to where I can stop and say stupid stuff. Maddie could say something like that and people would laugh.
Yeah.
Most people wouldn't think it's funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they know me. They know I'm just joshing you.
Just
you know?
joshing you, having some fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting, though.
If it's you up there, keep pressing forward. Ignore it.
Which is a cool conversation because I was listening to another podcast and I remember the guy was talking about how he was trying to do some things in his church. And I think it was Chris Hodges said to the guy, it might have been Rich Wilkerson, he said, you can't do that yet.
Yeah.
You haven't earned that.
1,000%.
You haven't earned
I
that
watch
yet.
people do things in announcements that Maddie does, and then I get emails about them, you know, or they try to tell jokes and nobody laughs because you're not Maddie.
Yeah.
She can say things that you can't.
Right.
You can't do that yet, you know?
I wish there was like some kind of like outline where it was like, okay, at year 2 you can say this. At year 10 you can ask for
I think
this.
it's investment. I think it's less about a time frame and more of the investment that you're making.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I think they know that I'm going to laugh in moments. They know I'm going to cry in moments, and so they allow me to do those things.
Interesting. Maybe that's something we should talk about more. But let's talk about the end with the band, okay?
Will you stand with me
So normally you have
as we sing
Pastor
this out?
Sim. You gave the wave. Our girl was right on. Now, full confidence, or you're just hoping? Because you kind of did the no look. We talked about the no look.
Just hoping. Cross your
hoping.
fingers. Hey, they're going to sing it out.
Sometimes you just, players play, and you just say?
Yeah. You just, I think the first service I had to call her in a couple times just because uncertainty or whatever. But yeah,
Yeah.
overall, I mean, you just call them in and cross your fingers.
Yeah, and I thought this was an interesting day because I remember being like a campus pastor leading services, and we would have some new band pieces come in, and you're having to explain the service setup. And I remember at run through, I was like, "All right, here's your turn to kind of explain what we do, like the totality of how things work."
Yeah.
So I thought it was cool to see how you kind of communicated that. And for me, I'm watching and be like, okay, this is a great way to say this, or this is how we're framing it to make sure that whoever's coming in has an idea of where we're going. And so it was cool that even though it wasn't people from our church who necessarily had our heart for like how we did service, still were able to then be flexible in the moments and say, okay, we can do this, we can make it work. So I thought it was interesting how you were still doing your still playing ball, no matter who was back there. So
And let me just say this really quickly about the graphic department. They hit a home run with this, the graphics for this series. Just the old school, AOL chat box there where the sermons are on the chat box and, words at the end. I'm thrilled. Sometimes you get into the middle of long series and you're like, yikes, when can this get over?
Yeah.
This is not one. This is one that
Yeah.
I think I'm going to enjoy.
Yeah, for sure. And to end this, the way we end every sermon now is the traditional AOL goodbye. So I'm not going to do that to you, but I am going to say, hey, thank you for being here. Until we meet again.
Sayonara.
Peace.